Today we're going to talk about genre and subgenre and how to define it or break down where your book belongs. If you're struggling with what's the difference between them, where should your book fit, and what if it straddles 2 or 3 topics and you're confused about which one to put it in. Knowing the type of story you want to tell can help you create a framework, or like a blueprint, what's expected to happen in the story. The reason we need to know this is because there are reader expectations. So when a reader picks a book up off the shelf at the library or buys a book online, and they're buying a certain genre of book, there's an expectation that certain things will happen in the book. For example, in a romance story, they're expecting a happy ending. If there's not a happy ending, they don't consider it romance, and they're going to be disappointed. With mysteries, people look for clues and red herrings. They want justice to be resolved at the end. If you choose a thriller, you want that heart-pounding action. In a fantasy, you probably want magical elements. And in sci-fi, you really want to know more about the technology and all the nitty-gritty details. There are things that people expect in certain genres. So knowing what type of story and what genre you want to fall in can help give you goalposts to work toward. It doesn't mean you have to follow some stiff formula. It just gives you a basic outline or idea so that you know you're heading in the right direction. Now, once you have an idea of what genre you want to write in, you can break it down even further. So say with romance, you want to go a little different. What type of romance do you want to write? Do you want to write a historical romance? Do you want to write romantic suspense? Just like mysteries, do you want to write police procedurals or cozy mysteries? With thrillers, do you want it to be action or do you want it to be more psychological suspense? And with fantasy, are we talking sword and sorcery or mystical creatures? Sci-fi, are you leaning between military space operas or steampunk? The more you granulize it as you go, and the deeper you go, the more detailed. Even when you're figuring things out, it's going to help you get a feel of the type of story you want to tell. And by breaking it down smaller and smaller, you'll start to get a feel of what would be right for your story and what wouldn't really fit. So, for example, you could go even further or deeper. So if you were looking at doing a historical romance, are you talking about a Western frontier or Regency? Once you've decided what genre and subgenre of a category you're interested in writing, there's a couple of things you can do. What I would suggest first is read a lot of stories in that genre that you want to write about. And then read reviews of books that are already out. You can look at things like Facebook groups, Goodreads, message boards, and forums, or Amazon book reviews. What did people love about the stories in that genre or that subgenre? And what did they hate? What did they wish they were more of? They're very revealing in their reviews, so you can really see the way that people describe the book. You'll see if there's a common denominator. If it's just one person's opinion, it shouldn't rule the roost. Don't get caught up on one thing that one person said. Look for repetitive phrases and common, denominators. What did people really like? What kept coming up? Then I want you to take this information as guidance. What do you want to gain? And the biggest part of this is learning to understand reader expectations. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is because when I first started, I'd made a really big mistake, and that was not anticipating reader expectations for the end of my story. It was kind of open-ended, and people didn't like that. I had to learn from my mistake. I learned it because it came up over and over again. In my brain, because I've been writing this story, I knew what happened in my head. I was like, oh yeah, it's all resolved. But it wasn't. I needed to spell it out. I learned that through reviews. And from that point on, I knew when I write my endings, I need to do it this way so that my readers are satisfied. with the ending. And that's how you learn, by reading the different things and responses. Now, that doesn't mean to take every criticism and every problem and think this is some horrible thing. It just shows you little areas where you can grow and learn. And that's up to you, how you choose to look at it. I like to learn from those things and see if there's common denominators. Another thing you want to know is it's important to understand your genre, what's current, what's trending. A lot of people make the mistake of saying, my book's for everyone, or it crosses over into a lot of genres, or I'm writing for all women. I hate to break it to you, but your audience is too broad. It's important to know who you're writing to. Understand your audience. This is going to be critical to success. When you know who you're writing to, you will fit that so much tighter. Think about a movie or a book you read or a movie you saw that you had different opinions. Like, for example, Lord of the Rings. To me, it was like torture to watch this movie that was never ending. People love that movie. My brother-in-law's family loves that movie. Me, I was like, oh my God, if this fight scene goes on any longer, I'm gonna like fall asleep. This is like torture. I absolutely can't stand this, but I'm gonna keep watching it anyway because people are raving about it, so I'm invested. Here I am. Another example, Moulin Rouge, the movie. Oh, people loved that and raved about it. I walked out on it after 20 minutes. I was like, what is going on here? Not for me. I'm out. And yet other people were loving it. And that's just how it is. Titanic, another massive movie people loved. I was like, really? This is what everybody was excited about? Was talked up for so long? Did nothing for me. Now, I have things that I get really excited about. I remember the first time I read Carl Hyacin in Stormy Weather, which is, I found the book, 20 some years ago at the library when my boys were small. And I loved it. I loved the quirky characters and the craziness of everything intertwining. And I told my sister, oh, you have to read this book. It is so funny. It's awesome. I love it. I really like this writing style. Carl Hyacin. And she reads it and she's like, okay, Deb, if this is what you love, we're all different. And that's the thing. There's an audience for everyone. Think about things you love and things you don't love. You probably know somebody you go, oh, this was awesome. You got to hear this. You got to see this. And their reaction wasn't what yours was because we all like something different. So it's really important to know the genre and subgenre really well. I can't overstate this. Let's talk to the area where people feel like their book could fit in multiple genres. Here's where the problem comes in. So, as an example, people will maybe write a mystery and there's a love story in it. So they're not sure if it's a romance or a mystery. The question to ask yourself is, which part could you take out and the book would still stand alone? So if you write a mystery and it has a love story, but you take the love story out of it, could you still solve the mystery? Now, if you took the clues out of it, obviously you wouldn't be able to. You know, you want your beginning, middle, event. Was there a crime? Are they solving it? Is there a resolution? It's a mystery. Take it down to the most basic level. That's going to help you decide. Now, there's an important part of the process so that when you're writing, the easiest way to figure out what genre is right for you when you feel like you're straddling a couple is to take it down to the most basic level and describe your story in one sentence. I know you're thinking impossible, right? Too much going on. But think about it like this. That's how you kind of look at your hook or your high concept. When you can take it down to the most basic level, boil it down to one sentence. What genre are you talking about? Are you saying it's a mystery where a detective solves something, or are you saying it's a love story? This is going to help you separate the genres so that you know which is the genre and which just happens to be an element in the story. So I hope this helps you figure out the differences between genre and subgenre.